Buying a brand new home in Las Vegas sounds like a dream, but the reality, it could turn into a nightmare real quick if you don't know what to expect. In 2025, the new construction process is full of hidden steps, surprise costs, and crucial decisions that most buyers are not prepared for. I've helped dozens of families navigate the new construction process here in Las Vegas, and today I'm giving you the real blueprint. In this video, I'm breaking down the 9 things you must know before buying a new construction home here in Las Vegas. The financial traps, the builder strategies, and what you can actually negotiate right now. If you're new here, my name is Olga. I make videos about living in Las Vegas. I'm also a real estate agent here. And with that, let's hop into the video. The first thing on my list is timelines are never guaranteed. New construction homes are notorious for delays, so definitely be prepared and have some flexibility in your own timeline. Everything from loan approval delays to material shortages to labor shortages to inspections, all of those things can delay your process and can push your move-in date, whether by its days, weeks, and sometimes months. I always make sure to communicate to my clients that move-in date can absolutely be pushed up, so to plan for that at the start of this process. While sometimes new construction can definitely surprise you and have that date be on the earlier side if things are cruising along, but that's definitely best case scenario. So it's always important to prepare for the worst case scenario, which could be a delayed move-in date by a couple of days or a couple of weeks, and again, worst case, a couple of months. So having a plan in place and understanding that that is a possibility and that could very well happen, because it does happen very often. If you're someone that is moving to Las Vegas from out of state, which so many people are moving to Las Vegas from out of state, and I primarily work with out of town buyers, so I experience this often. Some of the options for out of town buyers include getting a lease back on your property if you are selling a home in another state. So lining up a backup plan for you in your own home, whether that's for a week, 2 weeks, or up to a month. And a lease back, you can always end that sooner, but having that cushion, so if you need a couple extra days or a couple extra weeks, you have that in your own home. So writing that into the listing as you go on market, so the buyer for your home in your state understands that you will need possibly that extra time. So you're preparing for this on the front end. Another option you can consider is a short-term rental. Las Vegas does have a handful of Airbnbs. There are also condo hotels that are a great option if you don't want to stay at a hotel, but make sure that you're booking a refundable place just in case that timeline does move up, because sometimes it can, and then you'll be able to get your keys sooner than you expected. So definitely having a couple of options for yourself on the front end of this process will make things so much easier and so much less stressful in the case that there are delays. My number 2 tip is that the base price is barely just the beginning. Oftentimes, new home builders advertise low sticker prices to get you in the door without advertising all of the other costs that are related to buying that home. Those additional costs include lot premiums, structural updates, design center finishings. So for example, if you want a specific lot that has peekaboo views of the Las Vegas Strip, or you want to face a specific way, or you want to have a corner lot, those lots are typically more expensive because they are deemed as more desirable lots. So I've had multiple clients be in complete shock that there was an additional cost for the actual lot. So if you've never bought a new construction home before, this might come as a shock that you have to pay for the actual land. Well, yes, you do. And those costs range greatly depending on the community and depending on a lot. Sometimes these lot costs are just a couple thousand, but in communities with premium views, for example, a view that is unobstructed where you could see the strip could cost up to $1 million. So that is absolutely something to keep in mind and understand. Additional costs include if you want upgraded cabinetry, if you want upgraded countertops, upgraded flooring, lighting, backsplashes, if you want more recessed lighting throughout the home, if you want more padded carpets, you name it, and those costs start adding up. Also, one thing that I find that a lot of new construction buyers do not realize is when you're walking into a new construction home, you're going to be getting a dirt lot with your backyard. So, with a backyard, you can either go super simple and just put in some turf, or you could put in a pool. So, all of those are additional costs that you need to bake into the cost of the purchase price. And depending on what you want to do with your backyard, how fancy you want to get, those costs can go into the six figures. And remember, when you're seeing these homes, you're touring the model home. I always tell my clients that the model homes are meant to inspire. So they meant to inspire you to get the nicest cabinetry, the nicest flooring, the nicest lighting, and all of the nicest elements. So just remember that it's important to understand what is included with the base price and what are the upgrades. And of course, they will tell you, but it is very important to ask and make sure that you're not making an assumption that what's included in the model home is going to be close to that base price. Tip number 3 on my list is you can negotiate more than you think. If there's one thing that you take away from this video, it's going to be this. As of the time of this recording, which is May of 2025, so we're in the middle of the year, remember, the builders need you, the buyer, more than you need them. The Las Vegas market has shifted into a buyer's market for the first time in 5+ years. So you, as the buyer, has all the leverage. Just to give you an example, I was recently working with a buyer who found a perfect home that he really loved in a brand new community. And this buyer didn't realize that his earnest money deposit was going to be 10% because he owned another home in California. For him, that 10% was $45,000. And typically the earnest money deposit varies, but it can start at 1%. It could be $8,000. It could be $10,000. So there's variations of what that earnest money deposit could be. And yes, of course, it goes towards your final down payment. However, my buyer was not planning on coming out of pocket $45,000 at the time of signing of contract. So he decided to walk away. Before he could walk away, the builder decided that they were able to lower that earnest money deposit to $15,000, which was still too high for my buyer, who was expecting it to be much lower. So we walked away again. And let me tell you, every time we walked away, my phone would ring and the builder would ask, what would it take for that buyer to come back? So eventually we were able to get that earnest money deposit down to $7,500 from $45,000. And in addition to that earnest money deposit being lowered to $7,500, in those couple of days where my buyer had walked away, they dropped the lot price by several $1,000s. They also threw other concessions at my buyer at the design center. His closing costs were basically covered, so he almost had no out-of-pocket closing costs. And they covered the buyer agent compensation, which almost all builders do. Not all, but almost all builders do. So my buyer also did not have to come out of pocket at all for me, his representative, who went to bat for him to get all of these incentives. So this is why it's extremely important for you to always be represented by your own real estate agent when you are looking to buy a new build, because the new build salesperson does not want to tell you that you can negotiate on the lot premium price. They don't want to tell you that you can negotiate on the earnest money deposit. They don't want to tell you these things. Now, of course, they will if it comes up. However, they work for the builder. When you have an agent that is representing you as the buyer, that agent is working for you to get you the best deals and to make sure you are getting everything that you possibly can from that deal, and that deal is favorable to you as the buyer and not them as the seller. And hey, if the builder is paying for the buyer agent compensation, why not have your own representation? Think about it like this, right? If you are in court, wouldn't you want your own lawyer to represent you? Probably. So this is the same case. Number 4 tip goes hand in hand with number 3, and that is incentives aren't a bonus, they're a strategy. Closing cost help and rate buy downs are marketing tools. They're not free gifts that builders are giving to you as the buyer because they're so nice. So think of it this way. The builders are sitting around and they're discussing what is going on in the marketplace, what's going on with interest rates, what's going on with other builders, and they want to make sure that they are offering what is the most attractive offer for the buyers at any given time. For example, if interest rates are on the higher end, which they have been obviously for the past few years, they want to incentivize the buyer to work with them, which is why they're always offering 2-1 rate buy downs or lower interest rates. And they're able to do this because they work in bulk. If you're working with the builder's lender, they're able to get much better interest rates because they're having so many people that they're working with. So if you as the buyer come into a builder and you tell them, hey, I was just right next door or right across the street or just down the freeway at this other builder, and they were offering this kind of options and these kind of incentives, and they were lowering their lot premiums, that builder is incentivized to match what the other builder is offering because they want to have the best deal for you as the buyer and convince you as the buyer to buy with them instead of the builder across the street or the builder down the road. The bottom line is they want to offer you the lowest everything in order to work with them. And remember, they have incentives and goals that change every week that depend on how quickly or how slowly the community is selling and also what's going on in the market in general. So those offers are changing from week to week, and they could change even if you are a buyer and you are in the middle of a transaction with them. Similar to what happened with my buyer recently. Their lot cost actually went down because they were wanting to make their community seem more attractive because we are in a buyer's market and we started shopping with that buyer when that shift was happening. So incentives change all the time. The number 5 tip is watch for hidden fees. So in Las Vegas, the new construction communities have oftentimes fees attached to them that are called SIDs or LIDs, depending on where you are in the Las Vegas Valley. That name changes. SID stands for Special Improvement District Fees. And this is a fee that is tacked on to the property that lives with the property until it's fully paid off. That is an opportunity for the developer to recoup some of the funds that they invested into building the streets, putting in the lights, putting in sewer, things like that, because that is obviously a very costly upfront expense. So as you're walking into a new construction community, it is very important to ask about all of the fees that are associated with that community. SIDs and LIDs are often present in these new construction communities. Sometimes they're not. So that's very lucky if you don't have those fees, because those fees actually last for a very long time, for about 20 to 25 years. You pay a couple $100s a year, so you definitely never have to pay that fee up front because there really is no reason. And I always recommend to my buyers to not pay that off because you can pass that fee on to the next owner of the property. If you have the home for say 2, 3, 4 years, you can pass that fee on. So there really is no incentive for you to pay off the thousands of dollars of SID or LID fees related to that property. The other fees you have to be aware of course, HOA fees. So all of the new construction communities in Las Vegas are in an HOA, and those HOA fees vary from $30, $40, $50 a month to a couple $100s a month, depending on the community, its amenities, whether it's gated, guard gated, you name it. So the more you get with the community, the higher that HOA fee will be. So one thing to be aware of is HOA fees can actually change over time. So for a brand new community, the HOA fees can be on the lower side, but definitely be aware that those fees can grow as the community grows. So oftentimes these HOA fees are just a forecast, especially if the community is brand new. They're trying to figure out what it will cost to maintain the community. There's often a cost for the gate. There's often a cost for the landscaping. If you have a pool, if you have pickleball courts, that's all going to be funds that come out of the HOA. And there probably will be a point where that HOA will go up pretty early on. I actually had this happen to me in a property that I purchased that was new construction in Mexico in Cabo, and our HOA for the building was forecasted to be about $250. That HOA fee ended up being $500 every month, which at that point we were pretty stuck. And that's because everything that could have gone wrong did go wrong. The pool was never heated, the hot tub had issues, the elevators were always broken. Now, that was a condo community, so I'm not saying that all of these issues are going to happen in a single family new construction community here in Las Vegas. Now, that was Mexico, so it's a different ball game. But this just illustrates the fact that with new communities, there are just a lot of unknowns, and to expect that that fee might be higher than you initially think it will be. Now, I will tell you, to go back to the negotiating point, you are actually able to do some negotiating on HOA fees. So for example, I recently worked with one builder. We were able to negotiate 1 year's worth of HOA paid or an appliance package. So my clients had the opportunity to decide whether they wanted their HOA paid for the whole year or whether they wanted the appliance package. And of course, we crunched some numbers and made sure we went with the better deal. But that is definitely something that you can also throw into that negotiation and see if you can get at least 6 months free or up to a year. You never know. Number 6, even new construction homes need an inspection. I always tell my buyers, never skip an inspection just because this home is brand new and it has warranties on its appliances and things like that. Just because a home is brand new doesn't mean it doesn't have issues. And remember this, because that is very important. And an inspection is a couple $100. It's usually around $350 to $400 with my inspector that I work with, depending on if there's a pool or no pool. But a couple $100 can save you thousands of dollars down the road potentially. So third-party inspectors find plumbing issues, insulation issues, HVAC issues, and those are really big things if they're not caught prior to closing. So it's important to set up a third-party inspection, and your real estate agent will support you with that because they work with really great inspectors that time and time again help their clients find different things that are wrong with the home and help them get those issues fixed or get credits towards those issues before the closing of the process, which is extremely important. As a real estate agent, we protect our clients from paying extra costs that are associated with potential repairs that were not caught. So this is very important. Again, with new construction, just because it's a new home doesn't mean that there's no problems. So you'll be able to set up an inspection, understand the condition of the home, and to present anything that is wrong with the home prior to closing. That is very important. Speaking of inspections, there's another very crucial step that happens when the home is about 90 to 95% complete, and that is called a blue tape walkthrough. The blue tape walkthrough is when a buyer walks through a home that is nearly completed and marks anything that they see wrong with the home at that stage of nearly completed with blue tape. So things could be misaligned cabinets, dents in the walls, scratches on the floors, windows, or countertops, chips in tile or countertops. Basically anything that has been scuffed, gotten dirty, or just is not in that move-in ready condition. And you as the buyer get to create that punch list about a week or so prior to moving into your home, and you present that to the new home builder for them to fix. Number 7, the design center is a trap unless you are prepared for it. The design center appointment is designed for you to walk in there and just start dreaming with the salesperson. Start dreaming of the best cabinetry and the best countertops and the best flooring. At the end of the day, you are building your dream home. But what's important prior to walking into that appointment is knowing what your budget is and what is important for you. I always tell my buyers, understand what are the most important things for you and invest the money into those things. And if there are certain things that are not as important to you that you could invest in after the fact or, 2 to 5 years down the road, keep that in mind during that design center appointment. Because of course, it's so tempting to get the upgraded cabinetry and the upgraded countertops and the upgraded flooring and the upgraded everything because you're shopping, right? You're shopping and you're excited. And a lot of these decisions are emotional decisions. So if you are prepared with your budget and you go into that design center appointment, make sure to ask for the costs for all of those upgrades. Ask for the costs for all of the base finishings. Know what the base finishings are. A lot of the times, these base finishings are great. These builders do a very good job with providing base finishings that are attractive to all buyers. So you might prioritize quartz countertop, but you might be okay with the base flooring and the base cabinetry. So have that understanding before you walk into the appointment so you are prepared and you're not tempted to spend more money than you are planning on. And you can have that conversation with your real estate agent. Start brainstorming. What are the important elements and what are the elements that you really don't care too much about? Just remember, the design center is engineered to upsell you, just like that model home is. So definitely you want to be prepared before you go into that design center appointment. Have your budget, have the things that are most important to you, and stick to it. And at the end of the day, remember the mantra, everything is negotiable. So if you are really wanting something and it's above your budget, it's possible that you will be able to negotiate that to be included or to get additional money at the design center. So just remember, negotiation is key in every step of the process. Tip number 8, the community around you matters more than you think. You're not just buying a house, you're buying into the future of that community and that area. So it's super important when you are choosing which communities you're going to look at and which builders to have an understanding of what is the plan for that community 2 to 5 years down the road. Is there going to be schools? Is there going to be parks? Is there going to be shopping, dining, entertainment? Know what is going to be going into that area, and also what are the approximate timelines for how long that community is going to be under construction and when some of those things that are coming to the area. Because if you're moving into community like Summerlin West, a lot of people know now that there is going to be Grand Park that is going into Summerlin West, which is going to be Summerlin's biggest park. There's going to be sport fields. There's also going to be what's called the urban core, which is going to be a mini downtown Summerlin that is going in. That's going to have retail and shopping. So obviously that area is booming. So you know that, not only you're going to be in walking distance to a lot of fun things, and if you're excited about the park, the dog park, the sporting fields, that is a huge bonus add to the area. So the likelihood of property values going up is pretty high. That area is getting a lot of resources put into it. For example, another area that is developing extremely fast right now for new construction is North Las Vegas, and Tule Springs is the community that everyone is buzzing about. They are putting in a new downtown in North Las Vegas that is going to be kind of like a downtown Summerlin. So shopping, dining, entertainment, again, property values going up. So a lot of investment going into that area. So ask your real estate agent, hey, what's the plan for this new construction community? Are there going to be new schools? Are there going to be a new park? What is the nearest grocery store? All of those are really important elements for you to understand before you plug into that community. Also, ask, what are going to be the amenities? How long does the community have before it is completed? What percentage of homes have been sold within this community? If you're one of the first to buy in that community, you can likely plan for there to be construction in and around the community for several years. So just be prepared for that. But if you're the last one that's coming into the community and say you just happen to be able to buy the model home, well, then you're probably not going to deal with any construction and you already know what the community is going to feel like, what it's going to look like. So know at what stage in the development you're walking into the community. Number 9 tip, and I would say one of the most important tips, and I've hinted at this throughout the video, but that is hire a buyer's agent to represent you. As I mentioned, primarily every builder is going to cover the buyer agent compensation. So you as the buyer, you're likely not going to have to come out of pocket for this cost. And if you do, it might be a very small leftover percentage that the builder is not covering. Of course, that is all negotiable. You can negotiate every part of this process with your real estate agent, and that agent is going to have your back to make sure that you have the best information going into these communities, that you're getting the best deals, that you are having someone that's negotiating on your behalf that knows everything that could be negotiated on, and someone that is protecting you throughout the process, whether that is following the financial contingencies, making sure that your loan is funded within those first 30 days. And if it's not, that they're protecting your earnest money deposit, that they're extending those timelines on your behalf to make sure that if anything happens and your loan does not get approved, your earnest money deposit is still protected, that you're setting up a third-party inspection to make sure your home is in move-in ready condition and that there is no issues, that you do blue tape walkthrough and make sure that everything that in that property that needs to be fixed is fixed, and that you're fully aware of what is happening every step of the way. And the first part of that process is making sure that you bring your buyer's agent with you for that very first time you visit the community that you're visiting. Because if you do not bring your real estate agent with you for that first meeting, they will register you as someone that is being represented by the builder and not your agent. Don't make this mistake and start going into new construction communities before you line up a real estate agent, because in the case that you do end up loving a home in that community and you don't bring your real estate agent, you're not able to bring them in after the fact and have them be compensated by the builder. And this presents me with the perfect opportunity to drop my phone number down here and all of my contact information below in the comments in case you are looking for a real estate agent and you are interested in the new construction process here in Las Vegas. Give me a call. I would love to help you and guide you through every step of the process. I help so many families move to Las Vegas from all over the country and all over the world and help them with every step of the process. And yes, it will be me that you will be working with, not someone else that I will pass you on to. So I look forward to being a resource for you on your journey. And if you're still looking for a real estate agent and you're not sure how to choose one, check out this recent video that I did that gives you the blueprint of how to pick the right real estate agent for you, the questions to ask, and really how to determine what is the best representation for you. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope it was helpful in understanding the new construction process here in Las Vegas. And with that, I will see you in the next one.